What's up, horror lovers? Picture this. A man and his ex-wife roll into a forgotten mining town in Montana, ready for a 4th of July escape at the grandmother's place. Think a late 1800s brick and stone fortress stuffed with antique chairs, faded oil paintings, and dusty dolls peering from every corner. The wallpaper peeled like old scabs, and the chairs leaned awkwardly, as if listening. The air inside was thick with the scent of aged wood and bygone whispers. After a day spent grilling burgers and sending fireworks blazing overhead, they retreated indoors. Beyond the kitchen lay a narrow hallway flanked by 2 tiny bedrooms, each door groaning on its hinges. She collapsed onto an ancient mattress and was out before her head even hit the pillow. He, however, lay awake, eyes tracing jagged ceiling cracks and scanning shadows. In the heavy silence, every creak sounded like bones snapping, and his heartbeat drummed in his ears. Is that tapping a loose shutter, or something hungry he can't see? Then came the soft click of the door. He tensed as the grandmother shuffled in, taking the room next door, her sacrifice for the visiting in-laws. The bed springs groaned under her weight, an ancient accordion sighing to life. He listened, expecting only the gentle rasp of breathing, until words slithered through the night air. At first a low, unintelligible mumble. Then it grew louder, clearer, and vicious. "Leave me the fuck alone," she spat, voice rough like sandpaper. "My family is here. Fuck you." His jaw dropped. Grandma cursed like a sailor possessed, her sweet old lady facade ripped away in a hurricane of profanity. His skin erupted in goosebumps, and the hallway's air turned ice cold. Could creaking joints actually sound like a demon stirring? Not the kind of 4th of July roast he signed up for. Hang on to your sanity. From the pitch-black corner came a labored, underwater gasp that promised only more terror. At first, it was just a strange, wet rasp, like someone drowning on dry land. Then it exploded, each strained inhale and tortured exhale hammering his skull. He pressed his eyes shut, arms wrapped around himself, blood pounding like funeral drums. The darkness felt alive, crawling across the floor toward him and squeezing the corners, so light dared not linger. Nausea roiled in his gut. He tasted copper in his mouth, the stale odor of old blood creeping into his nostrils. His body froze, sucked into that void. Time lost all meaning. Seconds stretched into lifetimes. How long did that ghastly opera last? Minutes? Hours? He would never know. Every nerve screamed to flee, but the air itself had grown thick, an invisible shroud smothering hope. Just when he thought he could not endure another breath, silence slammed in. Moonlight inched back across the floorboards. He dared to lift an eyelid, heart a war zone of relief and terror. Silence hung heavy, broken only by the gentle creak of the adjoining door. He watched as Grandma shuffled out, slim frame swallowed by shadows. Instead of her, stepping into the kitchen's glow, materialized an enormous hound, 4 or 5 feet tall at the shoulder, eyes gleaming like embers. His stomach lurched. Grandma never owned a dog that size. Her black lab was nowhere to be seen. He could smell wet fur mingled with a rancid, otherworldly stench as the creature padded by. Talk about taking man's best friend to a whole new level. The beast settled on the couch beside her, and Grandma curled up as if nothing had happened. He sat frozen, pulse echoing in his ears. What in God's name just crossed that threshold? A guardian? A spirit? Or something hungering for souls? Some doors should remain locked. Would you risk another night in this cursed house? Wise souls know that curiosity only invites the darkness inside. Imagine walking into an abandoned building to play ghost hunter, and walking out begging to never see the dark again. That's exactly what happened to a couple of spirit enthusiasts who decided to celebrate his birthday with a late-night visit to the infamous Hillview Manor, an old asylum in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, known for its intense paranormal activity. The place, dark and musty, had 3 floors of pure dread. On their very first walk through the building, the husband, a hardcore skeptic, started feeling invisible touches on his arm, as if something was calling him out for not believing. But the real nightmare didn't start until 11:30 p.m. They were in a narrow hallway known as 1 North, near the old combative patient wing. After hours with nothing happening, disappointment filled the air. The equipment was turned off, and Mike, one of the group members who joined them, knelt down to charge his phone. That's when hell broke loose. Footsteps, heavy, urgent, monstrous, started running toward them so hard that the walls and floors shook like an earthquake. Before anyone could react, An invisible presence raced through the group like lightning, throwing them into walls, the floor, and doors. The husband's scream, once full of laughter at ghosts, ripped through the silence like a warning that no one there would leave unscathed. Without thinking twice, they ran to the security room, demanding to see the footage. Nothing, no images, no proof, just the panic on every face. The protagonist, completely shaken, collapsed to her knees, crying uncontrollably, with her watch recording a heart rate spike that almost sent her into a breakdown. Even though everyone swore no spirits followed them home, that woman's life turned into an endless dark hallway. The dogs running through the house would remind her of that moment, the steps reverberating in her mind. Food wouldn't go down, sleep wouldn't come. Within days, she lost weight, hope, and mental balance. The experience was so intense, suicidal thoughts started creeping into her mind. 3 months later, she finally started sleeping again, but she'd never be the same. She still feels fear in the dark. She still wonders what, or who, ran at them that night. Why did that spirit choose their group? Why did only she sink so deep afterward? The people who work at Hillview had never seen anything like it, until that night. Whatever happened there wasn't just a scare. It was a warning. Sometimes curiosity doesn't just kill the cat. It destroys the soul of those who dare peek into what should stay silent. Imagine a bright summer day in small-town America, the sun blazing and laughter echoing around a crystal-clear pool, where an 11-year-old girl soaked up every drop of carefree joy. But behind her giggles, a shadow crept in, an instinct as cold as the metallic taste of fear. As she dove under the cool water, the scent of chlorine and sunscreen masked a sticky dread. Could something pure and innocent twist into a nightmare? Friendly faces around the pool masked hidden intentions, and each innocent splash felt like a countdown to a horror unfolding under the summer sky. She had always been taught to respect adults, to smile and nod, never to make waves. Yet an uneasy chill ran down her spine when she noticed the stranger's greasy hair and cigarette smoke clinging to his shirt. That fleeting moment, just before darkness swallowed her laughter, would shape her memories forever. The next morning felt deceptively normal, but the air trembled with something unsaid. A battered sedan rolled into the driveway, and the man inside stepped out like a predator, shedding his daytime guise. Shirtless, hair matted, and cigarette dangling from stained lips, Leah's father surveyed the yard with cold amusement. The stench of his smoke cut through the sweetness of summer treats and barbecue chicken, leaving a bitter tang in their throats. He invited the girls to test a homemade slingshot, hurling potatoes like missiles into the distant field. When he spoke directly to her by name, ignoring the others, her polite smile faltered. Was he trying to be friendly, or was that the first cruel twist of his game? Unwilling to offend and too polite to protest, she shrank under his gaze. Behind forced nods and garbled laughs, her stomach churned. Each comment about her flat chest, or whether she'd started wearing a bra, felt like a trap tightening around her innocence. That night, the bonfire crackled with laughter and the sweet hiss of melting marshmallows. But in the camper at the back of the yard, dread ruled. The girls piled in with blankets and pillows, the cramped tin walls echoing every snap of wood from the fire. She curled into the top bunk, every nerve screaming, as the stench of old upholstery mixed with smoke. When the door creaked open, a raspy whisper called her real name. Did she dare open her eyes? Pretending to sleep, she felt the metal floor shift as he probed inside. Searching for vulnerability, his drunken friends urged him on, plotting behind her fake snores. Somewhere between a plea and a prayer, she held her breath as footsteps shuffled away. Morning light never felt so precious. Emerging stiff and hollowed by terror, she fled back to the house, heart pounding like a war drum. No one questioned the night's silence, and innocence slipped away as the sun climbed. In the harsh glare of hindsight, the memory gnaws like acid, polite smiles and whispered names hiding a predator's grin. She drifted from old friends, guilt pressing like a weight, wondering if she'd imagined that night. Years later, the truth crawled out when news of Leah's father's arrest for molestation confirmed her worst fears. No headlines could erase the shame her mother piled on. Dismissing childhood terror as a child's fantasy, trust shattered. She learned that evil often wears a familiar face, and polite manners can be a prison. Humor so black it drips blood reminds us, never ignore that gut punch of unease. Be polite, but be wary. A smile can be the calm before a storm. Beware the invitation that seems too friendly. It might be a trap. Stay silent, and you may survive, but the silence scars deeper than words. So listen to the whisper in the back of your mind. It might just save your life. We slip inside the dog days of July, when 17-year-old thrill-seeker Alex decided one last blowout campout was the perfect goodbye to high school. 6 teens, 3 couples, a Honda Pilot full of tents, cheap lager, and enough weed to fog the Rockies. What could go wrong, right? Huh? By the time you feel that chill settle behind your ears, moonbeams will be sliding off a machete, and someone will be wondering if ligaments grow back. So dim the lights, check that your back door is locked twice, and gulp that breath, because the first crack of a branch you hear in this tale is no raccoon. And the next paragraph? Oh, buddy, it only crawls deeper into the dark. Let's lay out the cast before the forest swallows them. Alex and his firecracker girlfriend Stephanie, pranking Brandon glued to sweetheart Kaylee. Gearhead Steve steering the Pilot with book-smart Sarah riding shotgun. Former Boy Scout Alex packed the boring stuff. Water jugs, lanterns, a totally legit first aid kit. The rest stuffed the cooler with beer screaming fake ID special and snack bags crackling louder than their common sense. Destination, a nameless stretch of nowhere, far enough for mom's casserole, close enough to say there are houses somewhere. Cell service, absolutely zero. But who needs bars when you've got bottles, right? They pitched 3 cozy tents. Steve's closest to the car for security, the others bordering a narrow game trail. With dusk oozing through the trees, they christened the trip by rolling a blunt fat enough to blot the Big Dipper, cracked cans, and passed out under a sky that looked harmless. Emphasis on looked. Sunrise baked the nylon like a cheap sauna, and curiosity itched louder than the mosquitoes. Brandon and Kaylee chose a lazy lover's day, while the other 4 followed that skinny trail into the green hush. 20 minutes in, branches opened onto a rust-stained iron fence ringing a forgotten cemetery. Crooked stones, chipped angels, but fresh bouquets whispering that somebody still cared, or couldn't let go. Beyond it snaked a wider service road stamped with tire grooves, the perfect backdoor for hunters, or something less wholesome. Cool photo op, Sarah laughed, snapping pictures she'd later delete. Then the pink horizon warned night was clocking in, so they trudged home, hungry for marshmallows and mischief. If only the wind had carried a spoiler, that silence growing heavier than the clouds. That feeling you get when the woods themselves lean closer to eavesdrop. Hold tight, because the price of ignoring that omen is coming up fast. Final night. No rations left behind was the rule. Speakers thumped, bottles clinked, smoke curled like ghost fingers around the pines. Midnight rolled in woozy and warm, and one by one the partiers face-planted into sleeping bags. Peace. Try again. 2:17 a.m. The dead scream of Steve, and Sarah knifed the dark. Tent fabric ripped like flesh in a butcher shop. A silhouette loomed, machete catching a lick of starlight. Steve, half drunk but all adrenaline, bashed the intruder's temple with a mag light, dragged Sarah, and sprinted for the Pilot. Problem. His tent sat closest to the exit road, the other 2 blocked by canvas carnage. Through the chaos, Steve roared one word, cemetery. And that word, dear viewer, was the starter pistol for a chase you wouldn't wish on your ex-drunken haze. Vaporized, fight or flight punched the throttle, and every footstep felt like it might be your last heartbeat. Alex yanked Stephanie, Brandon, and Kaylee into the tree corridor. Phone flashlight slicing frantic cones of white through the black. Behind them, crunch, crack, metal against bark. The monster followed, breathing hate. Cemetery fence ahead. Alex vaulted first, landing among the tilted graves. Lights off, breath held, darkness like wet velvet pressed against their faces. Then clang. The intruder climbed over, footsteps prowling among the dead as if picking a favorite headstone. Alex's fingers brushed his pocket knife, a souvenir Swiss Army barely bigger than hope. When the boot stalled above him, he slammed the blade deep into the back of the stranger's knee. The machete clattered, man roared, and headlights burst onto the scene. Steve had circled back. Teens scrambled into the Pilot, door slamming a hair before the attacker's fist hit glass. Steve floored it, gravel spitting like fireworks, and the last glimpse in the mirror was a hulking figure, eyes boiling with fury, blood painting his jeans like corrupt confetti. They didn't stop until an elderly couple's porch light bled gold across the road. Shaking, tear-streaked, they spilled the story. Warm quilts, soup, and a loaded hunting rifle guarded their sunrise. Daylight's return felt scripted, almost fake, until they revisited the campsite. Nothing stolen. Everything shredded. A silent signature carved through nylon. Cops shrugged. We'll search, but the file froze colder than the beer they left behind. 1 year later, college dorm swallowed the group. Conversation died. Yet nightmares kept a memory on life support. Alex's moral for every would-be weekend warrior is branded on my tongue. Pitch your tent where help can hear you scream. Wilderness isn't the villain. It's the things wearing human skin that stroll in after dark. So if you're planning a getaway, maybe trade that isolated, Instagrammable grove for a crowded, kid-friendly campground. You'll sacrifice a little solitude, sure. But hey, better to dodge Yogi Bear merch than a machete in the moonlight. Sleep tight if you can. Picture a 4th of July sky spitting red, white, and boom while you're clocking in to babysit. The absolute worst humanity can ferment. Murderers, rapists, hardcore gang shot callers, each one marinating alone behind a steel door. That was me, 21, walking the mile-long corridor of Charlie, 2 on July 4th, 2019. Outside, burgers hissed on grills, bottle rockets screeched. Inside, disinfectant stung the air, fluorescent lights hummed like dying hornets, and my stab-proof vest. Oh wait, policy said night shift GP didn't rate 1. Lovely. 6 hours earlier my wife begged, just call in sick. Bills won that argument, so I traded fireworks for flashlight checks, badge hits, and the uneasy echo of 200 steel doors clapping shut in unison. Happy birthday, America. Your candlelight looks different from this side of the bars. Ready for the first shiver? Hold onto that rail, because the next sound ripping through this tomb isn't a firecracker. It's a witch's cackle that doesn't belong to any holiday. Midnight creeps past. Boredom is our roommate. I'd finished showers, locked a tier, pulled my cleaning crew, and was trading dad jokes in the plexiglass officer station when it slithered down the run. Key, not laughter. More like some cartoon, hag warming up the cauldron. Drugs plague this place harder than roaches. So I roll eyes and start a headcount safari. 200 bunks, most inmates snoring, a few lip-flapping at the walls. Nothing. Partner shrugs. We settle back in. 10 minutes later, another spike of that same cracked laughter. Fine. I'm hunting again. Nostrils flared for smoke. Ears pricked for whispers. Second floor, cell 218. A mountain built of muscle eyes facing the wall, murmuring like he's got Satan on speakerphone. He spins, eyes drill me, spits, fuck off. Well, happy 4th to you too, buddy. The disrespect flicks a switch in my skull. Search quota time. I tap my radio, flag the cell for a toss, and gather some backup. Fireworks outside thump like warning drums I can't hear. Quick geography lesson. Charlie. 2 stacks, 100 cells per level. North and south side split by a blind brick spine. Think Shawshank. Minus the crossed-eye view. From the officer station, you can watch north straight down, but south hides until you hoof 50 feet over. That design flaw keeps nightmares interesting. Up on South 2nd, I flag Collins and McCormick to yank Big Boy out while I loiter ground level, hoping to lure him downstairs. Less chance of someone flying over the rail. Instead, he stalls 5 full minutes, emerging in nothing but gym shorts and a do-rag barefoot. Red flag flaps hard. An inmate that Jack rarely declines free phone time. He parks by the panel box, hawk-eyeing my partners tearing through his locker. Perfect ambush position. I climb the stairs, heart drumming double time. He paces like a shark in kiddie pool circles. Cuff up, I order, lying about a random search quota. Then fate twinkles in fluorescent glow. The word Samsung gleams from his do-rag. Cell phone contraband, automatic felony. My mic clicks twice. 2 more officers en route. He hasn't noticed yet. South and McCormick flank is right. I square off in front. Timestamp 12:58 a.m. I drop the hammer. I can see the phone man. Turn around. Shoulders sag. Eyes blaze. He reaches up, slow, deliberate, and yanks out not a phone, but a 6-inch, ice-pick pretty shank wrapped in t-shirt strips. The world glitches into freeze frame. My brain whispers you're dead. Play resumes at 2 times speed. 250 pounds of fury barrels at me. Weapon piston punching for center mass. OHSHIT. Erupts from somewhere inside my ribs. I catch his wrist, lose my grip, catch again, deflect 3 low stabs. Then the steel kisses my chest, thunking off bone just south of the lung. Spray him. I roar. McCormick already rips the pin on a -9 Malawi Quatches can, Bear grade OC. Napalm for retinas. while South Bear hugs the brute's torso. Orange mist fountains, baptizing all three of us in chemical hellfire. My eyes melt, throat slams shut, but adrenaline drags me gasping down the tier, buying space before the rail turns into a guillotine edge. The brawl dissolves into coughing silhouettes and radio static. I spin to see South wrestling at the brink. The inmate claws the vest, trying to lawn dart him into the day room 20 feet below. Sheffield vaults from the searched cell, full body tackles Mr. Homicide, slamming his face to concrete. Cuffs click. OC splatters like hot sauce across everyone's uniform. I slam my shoulder mic. Level A response to Charlie 2 now. Boots thunder up the stairs for more COs. A captain, a lieutenant. Collins grabs me before I charge back. Fingers finding wet warmth on my forearm. Blood. Lots. The LT's eyes go dinner plate huge. Gear strips off. Paper towels slap onto wounds as he frog marches me outside, past a cell block that still reeked of pepper and panic. Fireworks crackle distantly through barred windows. Outside world partying, inside world bleeding. An ambulance ride later. I'm under AR fluorescence. Wife sobbing on speaker, while a nurse counts holes. Left arm clean through. 2 in the hand. 1 in the chest, denting my rib like a bad door ding. 37 thrusts missed arteries by divine coin toss. Dawn leaks peach pink over Kansas as doctors stitch my future together. But sleep refuses the invitation for 2 nights straight. Department brass label me as safety liability and shuffle me out the gate. Only one sergeant still texts. Statewide policy finally outfits every max custody CO with vests, paid in my blood. Now I carry hollow points with mental scars, engraving every round. Nightmares rerun that witch cackle and the Samsung glint. My eyes lock onto any stranger's waistband in a grocery store. So listen up, badge-wearing insomniacs and true crime thrill seekers. Trust the knot in your gut. Gear up like the worst day is today, and never search alone behind the blind corner of a 2-tier coffin. Out there the rocket's red glare means hot dogs and lawn chairs, and here it just muffles the sound of a blade sucking into skin. Stay safe, watch your 6, and to the 6-foot monster who tried to write my epitaph, court date's coming. I'll be wearing Kevlar, and you'll be wearing shackles. Sleep tight if you can.